everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to continue our delve into some of my spooky Halloween favorites. I'm going to be a little bit loose with the definition for today's song. I think it does have a spooky vibe, but the song today is Mr. Malum by the band The Deer Hunter. This is another band that for a lot of my life I had overlooked, and I don't know how I didn't hear about them earlier. I just can't believe it took this long for me to find them. They are led by the kind of creative spirit of the lead guy, Casey Crescenzo. He is, from what I can tell, classically trained in composition. And it really shows in the variety that their music takes. Basically, their music covers this grand story that he's trying to tell, and it's set up in such a way that it plays like a musical at times. I know the earlier albums fell more on the like rock side of things, but lately they've been going more to kind of like this jazz fusion idea, I would say. Their newest album's amazing, you should check it out. But this song comes from an album, I think it was called The Color Spectrum. And they did something super interesting with this album. They went through the colors and they wrote a certain number of songs based on the color that that like part of the album was about. So, for example, it starts with Black, and those songs are really moody, more like metal, industrial sounding. And at this point in the album, they have chosen purple as the color, and Mr. Malum is one of the songs under purple. So they had that color in mind when writing the song. So with that in mind, I think I'm just going to go ahead and jump in, and I'll talk about the instrumentation, what I like about this song. So this is Mr. Malum. I'll leave the video up, but it's really just going to be this art the whole time. So we'll just focus on the music. So before we get into the actual song, the instrumentation of the song is very much piano forward. We've got the strings accompanying it. Sometimes they're in unison, sometimes they're playing like this counter melody. And we've got this chord progression that lends to me that really spooky feeling. It's a little off kilter. It might throw in a really nice major chord, but then it immediately juxtaposes it with this eerie like offset chord that doesn't sound quite right, that gives it just an unsettling atmosphere. But it, once again, kind of like the last song, Necromancin' Dancin', it's got like a certain groove to it as well, so it's kind of similar in that vein, but we'll see that this takes a different approach to the storytelling. So So I definitely want to talk about the vocal delivery here as well. So in the first verse, we've got this really subtle, toned down, almost whispery vocals. It's very short and succinct, and it like attacks you a little bit when he's describing Mr. Malum, the titular character here. And of course, it leads up to a big belted chorus where we get, the rest of the instrumentation comes in. It's more like guitar heavy, kind of sort of like Sleep Token does their choruses, right? Bring everything in for that. And then whenever he starts getting out of the chorus, when he says, his grip has turned so tight, he says it like he's getting choked almost. I think this adds to the kind of spooky feeling of the song, because it seems like he has to be kind of quiet, right? Just to make sure Mr. Malum doesn't catch on, right? After the big belted chorus. We'll talk more about the character that Mr. Malum here in a minute. You see what I'm saying there? He's like constricted almost, that part.
His puppets to the left hand, his pawns to line the right, but every eye is front and center. A cool intoxication from the side that trickles down his branches to their mouths. When the truth arrives, you won't believe your eyes. A vicious champion, but he's no less content with the world in the grip of his hands. He'll crush the air out of its lungs. Say we don't want him to have it all, but now it's just too late to ask, because his hold has turned so tight.
So I like all the things they kind of add to fill out the sound, right? We've got, once again, this is Casey Crescenzo, the like main songwriter of the band, singing. I really love his vocals. He can get a lot of range out of his vocals, so he's got kind of the more subdued, breathy stuff, and he can belt it out when he needs to, but he uses the belts really, really nicely in most of their music to really make a moment pop. And the employing like these background singers is also really great. There's some female vocalists that kind of back him up in the second verse, which really brings a lot to the table as well.
Has turned so tight. The air we barely breathing's not enough. And in this final gasp that rattles us to bed, the last thing that we will see is Mr. Malum. Tighten this tie when slip of a suit.
I love these background vocals.
And the shine of his shoes. But when the truth arrived, you didn't trust your eyes.
So you may be listening to this song and you're wondering, this doesn't seem that scary. Well, to me, the horror here is much more subtle, both in the instrumentation of the song and of the content. So this band, the Deer Hunter, usually, especially with their latest release, kind of tackle kind of political ideas as well, on top of what's on the surface level. So this song, Mr. Malum is clearly this almost supernatural being who has the ability to hide the monster that he is from the people that he is in front of. He seems like a public figure who has gotten there by having people ignore the worst side of him. So it seems like people don't want him, but the rhetoric he's employing has hidden his true self from them. And in that last moment, like he says here, the final gasp, the truth arrives. They see Mr. Malum for what he is, but they couldn't trust what they were seeing because they had been led so deeply into the story he was telling. It's kind of like I imagine him as like this demon that's able to, with nice words, dress up the horrible evil that he is inflicting on these people. And of course, it doesn't take much imagination to kind of take this and jump to public figures that we see in real life and kind of see how they use rhetoric and they use different tactics, pulling on your emotions to hide the monstrous things they want to do, because these people do exist. And that, to me, is kind of the horror of this song, that you could be completely blinded by this monster and not see it till it's too late. And you've already given him the world. That's just kind of my feeling and why I think this song is actually kind of creepy.
Arrived, you didn't trust your eyes.
He's really giving it his all in that last little bit of the song as well. Just this screaming, you had your chance, but you turned away again, right? It's too late. It's the last kind of fight that's left before the evil guy wins. It's just this is kind of like a song where the evil does prevail at the end, right? And it's due to apathy. It's due to complacency. It's due to not wanting to see the truth. That is, the not so fun horror of this song compared to the last song I covered. But to me, it really does hit a nerve. And it's delivered with such bombast and with such a fun atmosphere that lulls you in. The song even lulls you in with like this like bouncy little piano riff that's makes your head bob and all that, before it delivers you this like death blow of like this horrific dude. Right? So this is Mr. Malum. If you have not checked out the Deer Hunter, I of course urge you to do so. They are an incredible band that has a lot to offer with a wide range of sounds. They've been around for a long time. So they have a little something for everybody, I'm sure, if you go back in their deep discography. That being said, that's all I have for today. I think what I'm going to do is post a Spotify playlist if you would like to see what other songs I really like for the Halloween season. I have a Spotify playlist. I have called it Murder, Monsters, and Mayhem or something like that, but it's essentially my creepy Halloween playlist. Got everything from really extreme metal to songs more like this, or even more classical sounding songs. Got some Trans-Siberian Orchestra on there if anybody is aware of that. They did a Night Castle album that sounds really creepy and is more like classical sounding. But if you're interested in that, I'll put that in the description below. And I will see you on the next one, where I will continue delving in to some of my favorite Halloween spooky songs. And I'll see you then.